Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Dill, it is about to get real. We are inside of 72 hours from Lincoln Riley and USC kicking off fall camp. You look at this depth chart, subject to change over the next couple of weeks. Position battles almost up and down this roster. And Dill, the thing that I will say right off the bat, deeper football team than we had last year. Like, if you want to play for USC in 2025, you are going to go out and earn it during fall camp. Want to get into a few of the biggest position battles that we are going to see. And Dill, more notably, let's call our shot here. Like, who do we think emerges as some of the starters, the difference makers for USC in 2025? I want to start with this real quick. I don't know if there's a quarterback battle. Lincoln Riley at Big Ten Media Days pretty dang strong. And look, they ain't a lot of head coaches that are coming out and like naming starting quarterbacks. Lincoln Riley was very clear. Hey, Jaden's our starting quarterback rolling into fall camp. To me, that should fire up a lot of USC fans because I look at it and say, look, if Jaden didn't take a step from the 2024 year, you'd probably be talking about a quarterback battle heading into fall camp. Lincoln Riley coming out and kind of naming Jaden the starter, at least heading into fall camp, that tells me that we've seen progression from Jaden during spring practice. And there's a lot of confidence within that program that Jaden's the quarterback that can win a lot of football games for USC in the 2025 year. Now, everywhere else on this roster, it's about to get real. Want to get into some of these position battles before we do. And as always, the USC fans, number one, appreciate you guys. Number two, please let it fly in the comment section. I'm going to get up here and call my shots on a few guys that I think will emerge as starters for USC. Look, if you're taking time on your Sunday afternoon to listen to the boys, chances are you got some takes as well. Please let it fly in the comment section. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Dill, to me, one of the most fascinating positions we have to figure out here. Hey, who's that wide receiver 3? There ain't no question about it. Jacoby Lamb and Kyle Lemon, they are your two wide receivers that are probably going to get, 70% of the target share in 2025. I want to get real quick and give a take on that. This is a huge storyline. And it's not because Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane are going to take the country by surprise. Look, we know they are two studs. Go back 12 months ago, there was not a clear understanding that Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane were your best football players. In fact, I thought Lincoln Riley might have thought Zachariah Branch and Deuce Robinson were. The amount of times they were getting force-fed the football at times, knowing that Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon are your guys, and you're heading into 2025 saying, hey, we are going to be very intentional getting these kids opportunities. That's going to help this USC offense.
And Jacoby Lane especially, because I felt like Mekhi Lemon, his work. Like from the slot, he was getting open constantly. He was getting the ball fed to him pretty well. Jacoby Lane was the guy, I feel like, what, he have like 500-600 yards last year? Like, that's got to be higher. He is too talented of a player. He was the guy I was kind of looking at, like, why is Deuce Robinson getting so many targets? These balls need to be going.
And when it was so clear early on, and Dill, that's the tricky part about NIL. This is just my take. When you are paying the amount of money that we know Zachariah Branch was getting, when you are paying the amount of money that we know Deuce Robinson was getting, I think there's some pressure from the play caller to say, we got to get these guys the football. When it was very clear quickly that Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane were the two guys that should have been being force-fed. Jacoby Lane was like up and down. Like there were some games where he was like non-existent. There were some games where he looked like the best wide receiver in all of college football. You got to treat him like that. And you got to make sure every single game, Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane should probably getting at least 8 targets a pop. That's how good of football players I think they are. Dill, wide receiver 3. Call your shot. I guess maybe I'll start. Give me Zacharias Williams coming from Utah. This kid was named Utah's wide receiver 1 post-spring for over there at Utah. Why is he, to me, clearly the wide receiver 3? I think he fits perfectly. Look, I don't think he's a guy that's going to command 10 targets a football game. Really good contested catcher. Knows how to catch in traffic. Blocks his tail off on the perimeter. We need a wide receiver 3 that can just do a little bit of everything. We don't need a wide receiver 3 that's going to come in and command 10-plus targets a game, but we need a guy that's gritty, that does his job and does it at a high level. To me, I think that is exactly what Zach Williams can be for USC in 2025.
And I'm interested to see. I think it's going to be him and Prince Strachan. I look at two guys who are kind of similar. I'm kind of with you. I think Zach Williams is a little bit more well-rounded. I'm more comfortable with him with the ball in his hands at
Agreed.
catch, and probably especially the blocking. That's the aspect I feel like harp on. He can really do that, and I think that's going to be important when you have a guy like Makai Lemon, I should say, that you probably want to get more involved with touches behind the line of scrimmage and
Yep.
let him work after the catch. So I'm kind of with you. Xavier Jordan's still going to be a guy who I'm always kind of
Agreed.
waiting to break out because that's just like my mentality. When you bring in a really talented player,
Yes.
they don't really make an impact year one. He's still one you're keeping your eye on, but I imagine that's going to be between those.
So, Dill, the thing with Prince is I feel like he's very similar to Jacoby Lane, like big body that wants to go up at the catch point. You just ain't Jacoby Lane. Then I look at Jay Fair. Look, I like Jay Fair a lot, but I think Jay Fair is kind of just a worse version than a guy like Makai Lemon. And so I look at both of those guys and say, I like them. I think they're going to play for USC, but I don't see how they fit into that third wide receiver spot. Then I look at Zach Williams and say, look, this kid's almost like a combination of Jacoby Lamb and Kyle Lemon. You put them between them. That's kind of what you get with Zach Williams. Now, that's not saying that he's going to be an elite wide receiver in 2025, but he's a guy that can do a little bit of everything. It's the thing, though. You don't need an elite wide receiver 3. You need a well-rounded guy that can do whatever you're going to ask him to do. And I think that's what Zach Williams is going to be. We got to figure out this offensive line. It's probably where we should have started this episode. It starts with DJ Wingfield, right? Is DJ Wingfield going to be eligible to play? If not, you're going to see a little bit of a shuffle of the deck. Does Tobias Raymondale, is he best suited to kick into guard if DJ Wingfield cannot play for USC in 2025?
The only reason I think possibly is because I do think Justin Tuanu is like potentially a starting level
I
tackle.
agree.
Again, he's a guy who certainly would have needed some development in terms of how strong he is. But like you look baseline athleticism, he's certainly got that. I think he really does move pretty well. He's long. I think tackle ability, or not tackle, but like start ability in the Big Ten is there. So that's probably where you get into it, is like, would a Micah Buenelos be ready? Or would a Killian O'Connor, would you feel comfortable with him playing guard? I mean, he is more of a true center, but like, I wonder if he can kick him out. So it's probably more about like how ready some of those backup guards are, because I don't think you'd love moving your starting right tackle if you don't have to.
My take is, and I agree with you with that. Like, it sounds like Tobias Raymond is your starting right tackle. Sounds like that was what we heard coming out of spring. I don't know if you want to monkey around with that, but I will say this: if DJ Wingfield can't play, Justin T has to be the guy coming in. And I don't think Justin T can play guard. And so I think you kick Tobias Raymond into guard, who I think would be a pretty dang good guard. Justice T at right tackle. You noted something very important. Whether it's Micah, whether it's Killian, whether it's Makai Siena, they some of them got to be ready, because that is my I think this USC football team can be really good. But the scenario where I see it potentially getting ugly is if you have to shake up this offensive line and some of your young guys aren't ready. The depth along this offensive line is arguably the biggest fall camp storyline that we're going to see for USC over the next couple of weeks. Dill, is Wayman Jordan the clear running back 1? That's kind of what we're hearing, right? Here's the way I look at it. Wayman Jordan is the most complete running back in this room. You know, I think he's a guy that can be a bruiser between the tackles. I think he can be elusive at the second level. I look at Brian Jackson and say he's kind of just a little bit of a one-trick pony at this stage, just vertical, downhill running back that wants to be a bruiser, but probably doesn't have a ton of wiggle at the second level. And then I look at Eli Sanders and say, probably ain't going to be your bruising running back, but has some serious juice at the second level. I think Brian Jackson and Eli Sanders will play a role in this USC offense, but everything we're hearing is that I think Wayman Jordan has the ability to not only be a bell cow for USC, I think he has the opportunity to be special for USC in 2025. At least that's what we've heard coming out of spring practice.
And I think that's probably the scenario you're okay with, because again, like Wayman Jordan probably can get spelled for different areas when he needs a break. And I like if he's going to be the number 1, that's okay. But you bring in Brian Jackson if you want to grind teams down a little bit. You bring in Eli Sanders if you want to spread it out a little bit. I think when you have that one complete guy and then 2 guys who, again, aren't complete in their own right, but are kind of complete as a 2-man package, I think that sets up for a fine running back room for the 2025 season.
Now the question is Lincoln Riley going to lean on it, man? right? Like that's been the question. And it's actually funny. I was listening to Lincoln Riley. He did like a lecture on his offensive philosophy, and he talked about balance. And he talked about how important balance is. Felt like USC lost that a little bit. And especially when I look at this offensive line and say, I think it can be a road grading, dominant offensive line. Maybe I have some question marks about what they are in pass protection. Maybe you want to lean on the run game a little bit more in 2025. We'll see if Lincoln Riley decides to do that. Over to the defensive side of the football. And this is where the depth really becomes apparent, Dill. Like last year was like, hey, look, if you had a working heartbeat on the defensive line, you were playing because we didn't have no depth. Does Devin Tompkins, does he sound like he's the guy that's probably going to be the most dominant interior defensive lineman on this football team?
He's certainly
Yes.
the guy you look at when he's got the skill set to do it. Like I was just watching that Minnesota game, and there's still like again probably needs to just fill his frame out a little
Which
bit.
he has.
His use of his hands and his ability to get into guys and use his length is really, really like really high class. I'd probably say
Yeah.
he is the guy you're looking for. If you're going to get dominance, it's probably coming from him on the inside. And I don't mean that to say like G.D. Abasiri is another guy. I feel like he's maybe a year or two behind maybe where Devin Tompkins is, but he's another guy who's got it. So I look. Devin Tompkins to me, he's got to be a guy for USC.
They are to me you said the two most important guys for me, Devin Tompkins and G-Day. Because I look at, and this is not anti-Josh Jarrett. This is not anti-Keyshawn Silver. I think those are more of your meat and potatoes. I'm going to be a massive presence in the run game, but I don't think Keyshawn Silver, maybe I think there's a little bit more upside. I don't.
Him with Coach Henderson, I'm really
Yes.
interested to see because I don't think like he wasn't playing the style of ball I think he should have been playing. Like it felt like he wanted to play like a finesse game. Like I am very interested to see if Coach Henderson can get him playing almost more like how Kobe Pepe was playing, who like Kobe Pepe, I should say, knew his role for that USC team and was playing like a bulldog. I felt like he was eating blocks up pretty effectively.
Yeah.
Keyshawn Silver should be playing that way because I don't know that he's got like ultra high end talent that maybe a Devin Tompkins or a Judo has. Like, just get him playing.
When it comes to penetrating, and this is part of the reason why I love the defensive line, is I think Devin Tompkins. You look at G-Day; those are your penetrating guys that can provide negative plays, that can get involved in the pass rush. Well, then you also have your guys like Josh Jarrett, like Keyshawn Silver, like Kobe Pepe, that can be more of your two gappers. I'm going to eat up some double teams, and we're going to be presence in the run game. You didn't really have too many of those, but you didn't have any bodies that looked like Josh Jarrett and Keyshawn Silver last year. You were asking a guy like Devin Tompkins at times to play that kind of role, which is just not ideal for a guy like Devin Tompkins. Josh Jarrett, Keyshawn Silver, who becomes that monster in the inside that can allow USC to be a little bit more dominant stopping the run? Because I've been very critical about USC's lack of ability to get after the passer last year. USC fans probably sick and tired of hearing me say that. One of the things as I continue to go back and study that team in 2024, well, when you can't stop the run very well, Dill, hard to get to pass rush opportunities. Like if you're letting 2nd and 6 and then you're sitting in 3rd and 2, your edge rushers can't pin the ears back and get after the passer because there's no obvious pass rushing downs. If we can be better against the run on 1st and 2nd down, Josh Jarrett, Keyshawn Silver need those big bodies to step up. The pass rush production will come, but we got to be better against the run. Dude, what about Jakeem Stewart, man? Like, I like that they're putting him out on the edge to start. Number one, because USC's a little thin at that position. Number two, you want him on the football field. Not sure if I think you get on the football field on the inside of the defensive line, probably not as much as you would like. Well, he's a really good athlete that has some real horsepower and length that I think can give tackles some problems year one as an edge rusher. Interested to see how much he gets on the football field early and how dominant he can be. If you get a Cam Fountain year out of Jakeem Stewart, really, really good for USC. Desmond Stevens versus Tamir Robinson. Position battle. Agree or disagree?
I think I'm a Tamir Robinson guy. You know that.
And I'm a Desmond Stevens guy. So.
Again, Tamir Robinson hasn't played a ton. Penn State's had really good linebackers that he's been behind, but I look at him getting on the field. Really good athlete. I think for a guy who isn't necessarily the biggest linebacker in the world, kind of on the lean side, does a good job sticking his nose in the middle, taking on blocks, using his length to kind of, again, be kind of effective in the box, let's say. I think he's a guy I'm looking for a big year for USC. I think he's going to play a lot.
And I'm a Desmond Stevens guy, and I think you are battling out for that linebacker spot. And I think it's an important position because we talk about it all the time. The best version of USC. Look, if USC goes 10-2, you're getting like 100 tackles, 10 TFLs, 8 sacks from Eric Gentry. That's what you're getting. That's what needs to happen. Well, if you want to use Eric Gentry in those ways, you got to have a linebacker next to him that you trust. Is it going to be Desmond? Is it going to be Tamir Robinson? Don't sleep on Tamir Robinson. As much as I've been freaking banging the table for Desmond Stevens, was listening to a Penn State podcast a couple of weeks ago, and they said Tamir Robinson was a loss. Penn State did not want to lose him after spring practice. He was going to play for Penn State. I am excited to see what we hear from this cat in fall camp. The last one, young talent in the cornerback room versus the veteran cornerbacks. Look, I think DJ Harvey's a plug-and-play starter for USC in 2025. What's going to be on the opposite side? Is it going to be Chasen Johnson? Is it going to be DeCarlos Nicholson? Is it going to be Raylan Conley? Is it going to be Marcellus Williams? I love the idea where, hey, I know DJ Harvey's good. I know DeCarlos Nicholson is solid. I'm not sure if he's elite. Can we have some of these young, talented cornerbacks step up and be guys for USC in 2025?
And I wonder if like the DJ Harvey move is a bit of a sign of how USC wants to play defense. Because like last year, you said it, like they gave up a lot underneath and we're going to come up tackle. Again, they didn't give up a ton of big plays, so they were effective in that route. DJ Harvey to me is a guy that if you want to get the best out of him, you're probably playing press man on the outside and trying to just be really sticky and not give up any space. I look at a guy like obviously DeCarlos Nicholson. That's not really his game. He's his own corner. I wonder if that's kind of a signal that they're going to go, well, we're going to try to shut teams down.
Be a little bit more competitive underneath. Yeah, you know I love my numbers, so give me 30 seconds to get in my numbers right quick. USC last year, 67% completion percentage given up. Dill, that was 124th in the country. That was almost dead last. Right, they were giving a lot of easy access stuff underneath, playing that cloud cover 3 look. Yeah, we're going to let you just work the short stuff. They only gave up 7 yards per pass. That was top 50. So, again, we love that we're not giving up explosive plays. It felt like it was too easy at times for opposing offenses to attack underneath. I think that was reflective of Danton Lynn probably not trusting the cornerbacks to come up and be competitive underneath. I think he was afraid about giving up the big play. We don't think we have cornerbacks that can run with these wide receivers. Well, maybe we do this year. And maybe we kind of cut down on some of that easy stuff that offenses were able to get with USC last year. Safety spot, I don't think so. I think Kamar Ramsey, Bishop Fitzgerald are your guys, right?
I see that as a wildly competitive room right now.
I like the young cats. You know, Kennedy Urlacher coming from Notre Dame. I like
that wasn't meant to be a shot at the young guys. That's just like Murray Ramsey. He's not coming off the field for USC at one snap if he's healthy. And then Bishop was good.
Dude, Bishop can play. Bishop is, I've said this a few times. I'll say it again. I think he's the most upgraded football player on this roster from him. And Kikiliano was just flat out not good last year. I think Bishop Fitzgerald has the opportunity to be a massive upgrade for USC at that safety position. Dude, lot of what about Nickelback, man? Christian Pierce, Prophet Brown, Lincoln Riley personally shouted out Prophet Brown, a guy that hasn't played a ton for USC. We'll see that. I think that's a competition too. Like my general take is, all right, well, there are question marks on this football team, but there's a lot of competitive depth, and I think that's what you want heading into fall camp. I'm excited for this fall camp. Going to be really fun for USC. We're going to talk a lot about some storylines over the next couple of weeks. We'll close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys. We're going to talk to y'all later.